Hey everyone, it's Inspector Talon, and we are back in the Redstone Rail Behavior World download from the prior video. In this video, I will be showing the solutions to the challenge posed before, as well as where you would use this in a practical setting. So starting with the first one, I showed before how to do this, however we will cover it again. You're going to start by setting the lowest rail and then avoiding updating it by placing rails first here and then here so that it connects this way instead of defaulting to connecting to this lower rail down here. So we avoid the updates, and then in order to straighten this rail, we place another auxiliary rail to redirect it. So for the second one, if I were to place this rail directly, it would slope in the wrong direction from what we are wanting. So similar to before, we're going to set this lower rail and then avoid updating it by placing perpendicularly and then redirect. For this one, it is slightly deceptive in how simple it is. You're going to start with this setup here and then simply place this rail. So what's happening here is this sloped rail is defaulting to connecting upwards like we discussed in the last video, and that avoids updating this lower rail down here. So moving forward, we are jumping a little bit more complicated. So once again, we're going to first place the rail, and here we are avoiding updating these two bottom rails because this rail tries to connect to both of these. However, as you can see, this sloped rail is going in the wrong direction. So we're going to delete that rail and redirect the slope, then avoid the update and redirect. Moving forward again, we're adding some additional steps. So we're going to do that same process of setting the bottom, then getting the slope in a way we want, and then here we are adding a curved rail. So we're going to start by putting a rail here and then a rail here. So whenever we place this curved rail, the rail will connect to this powered rail and this upper powered rail instead of this slope, so it won't update. Delete the blocks, and there you go. This next challenge is much less intuitive, however, it isn't necessarily too complicated in terms of the steps. So unlike with the other ones, we're going to start by placing a line of 3 rails and then place the middle. So the reason it places flat is because it tries to connect to these upper rails, hence why it doesn't give these lower updates. And whenever it checks to see if these rails can redirect, it sees that this middle rail is already connected to 2 others. So it's not available to actually make a valid connection, similar to this idea here, where these rails aren't curving since they're already in a line of 3. From here, we delete these auxiliary rails and then redirect. And voila. So moving forward, we are now addressing the curved rails. For these, you are going to need pistons and a block that gets destroyed when pushed. That can be scaffolding, moss, melons. I believe those are the only three. However, I may be wrong on that. So I showed the solutions, or the solution to this one directly in the prior video. You are simply going to push this piston down. It will give the shape updates before breaking the rail, and that will slope these and then break the rail since it has no support. For this next one, we are going to start by curving these rails. We'll keep this one here to let it be redirected like that. Then we are going to power the rail we place here with the redstone block. So whenever we place, it connects to these rails instead of updating. Break this rail, place 2 melons. So then whenever we push this piston down, it will redirect this rail. So in order to keep it from updating whenever we remove the redstone block, we're going to remove this rail, break the block, and there you have it. For this one, there are a lot more steps, so I'm going to run through these really quick. Taking a few tries to do it all in one take without messing up. Rails can be a little finicky, so yeah. So in this direction, you can simply push it down once, and then in this direction, you need to power the rail so that when it gets pushed down, it will redirect to recurve this one. And then you need to push it down one more time without powering, and then it will recurve that. So that is half of it done. And then for the other half, you can do that. And then you need to push this one down, power this, or rather not power it, and there you go. So you may be asking, where would you use this in a practical setting? So as I showed in the last video, you can use this for a nice compact rail bud, or something like a rail diode. Without rail placements, you can only have a rail diode in 2 of the directions. However, with rail placements, you can use a rail diode in all directions. This also allows for a nice AB tiling rail wire. So instead of being stuck with only one, once again, you can do it in all directions. For something like this final challenge I showed, you can do something like a crossing rail intersection for compact cart routing, and so on and so forth. If you have any questions or would like to share how you did in this challenge, feel free to comment down below, as well as join the Cartstone Discord server, where there are plenty of people willing to help and answer any questions you might have. That being said, thank you all for watching, and I hope you enjoyed.